Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and another top 5 video talking about what the community wants for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Today I will be talking about the villains that the community wants in the next game, and this is going to be the last video of this kind that I will do, because next week we have the big reveal of Star Wars Battlefront, and after that it's kind of pointless to make these videos, because we will most likely know what we will be getting in the next game, at least part of it. And a quick disclaimer, I will not be talking about the villains in the current game. They are kind of obvious. We will most likely have Vader, Palpatine and maybe even Boba Fett in the next game. I would be highly surprised if they weren't in the game, so in this video I will be focusing on 5 villains that aren't in the current game but that people want in the next game, and I will be taking them from all eras. And as always, these are the ones I picked out from your comments that I felt like the most of you seem to want, but of course there are a lot of more villains that could be good in the game that I will not bring up today. First off, we have Darth Maul. He's probably one of my favorite villains in the old games and just in the movies in general, and he would obviously be a really cool fighting character to have in the game if they do include Clone Wars. With his double-bladed lightsaber, he has a bit different fighting style compared to the other lightsaber wielders, and I thought it was a lot of fun in the old games where you could sort of spin him around and hit everyone around you compared to other lightsaber wielders that were a bit more clunky. I'm pretty sure that if they do include Clone Wars, he will be one of the first picks to get, because although we do have Dooku in the Clone Wars and in the prequels, I do think that Darth Maul would be a lot more interesting character to actually have in the game, and I think a big part of the community agrees on that point. Moving on, we have what probably is the most obvious pick of them all, Kylo Ren. We already know that the sequel era will be in the next game, and there's not too much villains they can include from there, and Kylo Ren is of course the biggest one of them all. So I can almost say with a guarantee right now that Kylo Ren will be in the next game, and hopefully he will bring in some more interesting abilities to the game that we haven't seen before. For instance, we can see him stop Poe Dameron's lightsaber bolt mid-air, so maybe they could elaborate that a little bit and make it into some sort of ability. The question though is if they will base Kylo Ren on how he was in The Force Awakens, or if they might base him on how he will be in The Last Jedi, at which point he will probably be a bit more powerful and have more powers. The movie itself will start off right after The Force Awakens, but I'm assuming that the movie will actually take place during a few years or similarly, because otherwise there won't be too much character progression if they're just gonna train for a couple of days and then battle again. His lightsaber does obviously have a little bit of different features compared to a normal one with the 2 exhaust vents on the side. Whether this would play a part in the actual gameplay is hard to say. I don't really think so. The only thing I could think of is if the actual lightsaber combat is very complicated, maybe you could actually use those to damage the enemy if you lock your lightsabers. I don't think so. That sounds advanced even if this was a sword specific game, but who knows, maybe they will incorporate it somehow and not just make it into a standard lightsaber. Moving on, we have General Grievous. He's also a little bit like Maul, a really badass fighting character that can probably pull out a lot of tricks. I'd imagine he wouldn't be as agile as some of the other heroes, and that he probably won't have any force powers, or well, he doesn't have any force powers of course, but instead he could utilize his droid body by having, for instance, 4 lightsabers and maybe doing some really cool spinning moves and some other abilities that normal Jedi or Sith can't do, but instead he can't use any force power. So it would be sort of a trade-off and make him more into some sort of lightsaber machine, if that makes sense. Maybe he could even pull up a blaster every now and then. Who knows? But I do think that Grievous could be one of the cooler characters to see in the Frostbite engine, and how they can animate him, what kind of abilities he will have. Because to be fair, in the old games, sure, he had a little spinning ability, but most of the Jedi and Sith were pretty similar in terms of gameplay, and he didn't stand out too much in the old games. Moving on, we have another villain from the sequel trilogy, and I'm sure you guys can guess this one. It's Captain Phasma, pretty much the only other villain that we see actually fighting in the movie. Sure, she doesn't really have a great role in The Force Awakens, she basically just gets captured and thrown away, but I think they have confirmed that she will be returning in The Last Jedi and will have a bigger role there. So in that case we do know that we can probably expect some more footage from her, and in that case they could probably base the gameplay of that. I mean, she's obviously a trooper with a blaster, so she would work as a villain no matter how she will appear in the next movie. Maybe she could have some powerful explosives, some cool gadgets and very powerful blasters. I think that would be pretty cool, and seeing that shiny armor on the Battlefront is obviously gonna look pretty amazing as well. Lastly, we have what I guess I could say is a little bit of a odd choice, something that I'm really glad that you guys picked, because it's a villain that I would personally pick, and who I'm talking about is CAD Bane. As you know, they did like to add a lot of bounty hunters in the current game, and CAD Bane was not one of them, mostly because we've just seen him in the Clone Wars era so far, but he was by far my favorite bounty hunter in the Clone Wars series, and he could put up a good match against two Jedi at the same time. He would definitely be a very strong and agile character in the game, and I would really hope that they will add him if they have the Clone Wars, simply out of the gameplay aspect. Sure, we do have Dooku, but to be completely honest, more of you actually suggested CAD Bane than Dooku, and I think Dooku could be another pick that DICE might choose, simply because he is in the movies and CAD Bane isn't. But I do think CAD Bane would be a more interesting choice, and they have a lot more abilities and the gadgets that they could give him compared to if they just added another Sith Lord to the game. But again, this is a hard choice, and we will simply have to wait until next week before we know for sure who will be in the game. They might not reveal all the heroes, of course, but we should hopefully know which eras will be in the game, and therefore we can do some more speculation based on that, and of course which characters they will show in the actual trailer. So, as I mentioned, this is gonna be the final video in this sort of top 5 community wants series. After the reveal, we can probably keep speculating, but on another level. We can look through every frame of the actual trailer, speculate some on that, and maybe make some new lists based on the new eras we know. I'm sure there's gonna be 1,000 opportunities to keep speculating about what we want in the next game, but now we're getting so close to the reveal and EA Play that I don't think there's any point in actually bringing up as big features as vehicles or heroes. And to be fair, they probably already planned those months, if not years ago. But that brings this video to an end. Thank you guys very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.